this time, Judah left home and moved to Adullam, where he stayed with a man named Hira. There he saw a Canaanite woman, the daughter of Shua, and he married her. When he slept with her, she became pregnant and gave birth to a son, and he named the boy Then she became pregnant again and gave birth to another son, and she named him Onan. And when she gave birth to a third son, she named him Shelah. At the time of Shelah's birth, they were living at Kezib. In the course of time, Judah arranged for his firstborn son, to marry a young woman named Tamar. But was a wicked man in the Lord's sight, so the Lord took his life. Then Judah said to Er's brother Onan, "Go and marry Tamar, as our law requires of the brother of a man who has died. You must produce an heir for your brother." But Onan was not willing to have a child who would not be his own heir. So whenever he had intercourse with his brother's wife, he spilled the semen on the ground. This prevented her from having a child who would belong to his brother. But the Lord considered it evil for Onan to deny a child to his dead brother. So the Lord took Onan's life too. Then Judah said to Tamar, his daughter-in-law, "Go back to your parents' home and remain a widow until my son Shelah is old enough to marry you." But Judah didn't really intend to do this, because he was afraid Shelah would also die, like his two brothers. So Tamar went back to live in her father's home. Some years later, Judah's wife died. After the time of mourning was over, Judah and his friend Hira the Adullamite went up to Timnah to supervise the shearing of his sheep. Someone told Tamar, "Look, your father-in-law is going up to Timnah to shear his sheep." Tamar was aware that Shelah had grown up, but no arrangements had been made for her to come and marry him. So she changed out of her widow's clothing and covered herself with a veil to disguise herself. Then she sat beside the road at the entrance to the village of Enaim, which is on the road to Timnah. Judah noticed her and thought she was a prostitute, since she had covered her face. So he stopped and propositioned her. "Let me have sex with you," he said, not realizing that she was his own daughter-in-law. "How much will you pay to have sex with me?" Tamar asked. "I'll send you a young goat from my flock," Judah promised. "But what will you give me to guarantee that you will send the goat?" she asked. "What kind of guarantee do you want?" he replied. She answered, "Leave me your identification seal and its cord and the walking stick you are carrying." So Judah gave them to her. Then he had intercourse with her, and she became pregnant. Afterward, she went back home, took off her veil, and put on her widow's clothing as usual. Later, Judah asked his friend Hira the Adullamite to take the young goat to the woman and to pick up the things he had given her as his guarantee. But Hira couldn't find her. So he asked the men who lived there, "Where can I find the shrine prostitute who was sitting beside the road at the entrance to Enaim?" "We've never had a shrine prostitute here," they replied. So Hira returned to Judah and told him, "I couldn't find her anywhere, and the men of the village claim they've never had a shrine prostitute there." "Then let her keep the things I gave her," Judah said. "I sent the young goat as we agreed, but you couldn't find her. We'd be the laughingstock of the village if we went back again to look for her." About 3 months later, Judah was told, "Tamar, your daughter-in-law, has acted like a prostitute, and now, because of this, she's pregnant. Bring her out and let her be burned," Judah demanded. But as they were taking her out to kill her, she sent this message to her father-in-law: "The man who owns these things made me pregnant. Look closely. Whose seal and cord and walking stick are these?" Judah recognized them immediately and said, "She is more righteous than I am, because I didn't arrange for her to marry my son Shelah." And Judah never slept with Tamar again. When the time came for Tamar to give birth, it was discovered that she was carrying twins. While she was in labor, one of the babies reached out his hand. The midwife grabbed it and tied a scarlet string around the child's wrist, announcing, "This one came out first." But then he pulled back his hand, and out came his brother. "What?" the midwife exclaimed. "How did you break out first?" So he was named Perez. Then the baby with the scarlet string on his wrist was born, and he was named Zerah.
Okay, so get this. We're diving into a story that's like straight out of the tabloids. Family drama, betrayal, even a little legal intrigue.
Oh, absolutely.
We're talking Judah and Tamar from the book of Genesis chapter 38.
A classic.
Yeah. And you know what? Even if you're not a Bible scholar or anything, this story is like a window into this whole other world. Ancient customs, power dynamics.
Oh, it's fascinating stuff, really.
So right off the bat, we meet Judah. He's one of Jacob's sons.
Yeah.
And then there's Tamar. She's chosen to be the wife for his oldest son,
Right, and the story actually introduces Tamar right away, which is kind of unusual.
Yeah, like she's going to be important or something.
Exactly, like they're giving us a hint that she's not just some random character.
Right, she's got a part to play in all this. So Tamar marries but then tragedy strikes.
Sadly.
He dies. And this is where we get into this whole ancient custom of levirate marriage. It might seem strange to us now.
Yeah, you're telling me.
But back then, it was a huge deal. So imagine this.
Okay.
Continuing your family line, especially through sons, that was everything.
Everything.
Social standing, your religious duty, the whole 9 yards.
Right, so when a man died, his brother was obligated to marry the widow.
Like, it was his job to have a son with her to carry on the family name.
Exactly.
Wow, talk about pressure.
Right.
So Judah tells his second son, Onan, to do his duty and marry Tamar.
And Onan's like, not so fast.
He's got other plans.
Big time. And this is where things get really interesting.
Yeah, this is where the drama really starts.
Onan refuses to fulfill his duty.
Even though it goes against, like, all the rules.
All of them, societal, religious, you name it.
And let's just say his actions have some pretty serious consequences.
Let's just say that. Yes.
So now Judah's lost 2 sons.
Can you imagine?
And he's understandably freaking out a little. He's got 1 son left, Sheila, and he's way too worried to give Tamar to him, too.
Right. He's thinking, I can't risk losing another one.
Exactly. So he tells Tamar to go back to her family and wait for Sheila to grow up.
Which,
yeah,
let's be real, he probably wasn't planning on actually following through with.
Yeah, he's kind of leaving her hanging.
A little bit.
Poor Tamar.
I know, right?
She's a widow twice over. No husband, no kids, no security.
It's a tough spot to be in.
Years go by. Judah's wife dies.
Oh, wow.
And he's kind of moved on with his life, it seems like.
And Tamar, she's not one to be forgotten, that's for sure.
No, she's not. And she's definitely not okay with being treated unfairly.
You can say that again.
This is where her story really takes center stage.
So Tamar, she's been wronged, right? Denied everything she was promised.
Totally.
But here's the thing about Tamar. She's not just going to sit back and take it.
No way.
She's going to take control of the situation.
And she does.
Oh, yeah, she does.
She finds out Judah's going to Timnah. And she's like, this is my chance.
I love it.
So what does she do?
What does she do?
She goes full on undercover.
No way.
Yeah, she takes off her widow's clothes, covers her face with a veil.
Bold move.
Right, and then she waits for him on the road.
Talk about a power play.
It's risky though, right?
Oh, totally. She's playing with fire here.
I mean, she's still technically under Judah's authority.
Exactly.
And by doing this, she's like breaking all the social rules.
It's a huge risk.
But she's desperate.
And you know what they say? Desperate times.
Right.
So Judah, he sees her on the road. And he has no idea. It's Tamar.
None.
Thinks she's just like,
A woman of the night.
Yeah, and he's like, hey, I'm interested.
And the thing is, he doesn't even stop to think why she's all covered up like that.
Yeah, you'd think he'd be a little curious.
Right, but he's so focused on himself that he doesn't even notice.
Classic Judah.
So Tamar, she's like, okay, but this isn't free.
She's not letting him off easy.
No, she's smarter than that.
Way smarter.
She demands a pledge from him.
Like a down payment.
Exactly. And not just anything either. She wants his seal, his cord, and his staff.
Whoa, hold on. Those were like super important back then.
Yeah, like his ID, basically.
Basically. And a legally binding contract all rolled into one.
That's Tamarsa for you.
Always thinking ahead.
She knows Judah's a man of his word, at least in public.
Reputation is everything.
So by getting those items from him, she's making sure he can't just walk away.
She's got him trapped.
Big time.
This is like some next level chess right here.
And Judah.
Poor clueless Judah.
He agrees to it all.
Doesn't even realize what he's gotten himself into.
Not a clue. So they go their separate ways. Tamar goes back home.
Pregnant.
And Judah...
He's just oblivious.
Totally.
But here's the thing that gets me. Judah was so worried about losing his last son.
Right.
And now he's gone and fathered a child with the one woman he completely wronged.
It's almost like poetic justice or something.
I know, right?
The irony is incredible.
It's like the story itself is laughing at him.
I'm like, oh, Judah, you thought you were so righteous?
Look at you now!
It's amazing. So Judah, he's like, okay, time to make this right.
As if.
He sends a friend back to Tamar with a goat to pay her off and get his stuff back.
Smooth move, Judah.
But here's the thing. His friend can't find her.
Oh, no.
Nobody in Timnah seems to know anything about a woman like the one he described.
Oops.
It's like she vanished.
Well, she was disguised.
Right.
Good point.
So months go by, and then Judah hears some shocking news.
What's that?
Tamar is pregnant.
Oh, boy.
And remember, everyone thinks she's been living as a widow back home.
This is not going to be good.
Nope. People are freaking out.
As you do.
And Judah. He is furious.
Furious.
Thinks she's been unfaithful.
Which technically, I mean...
He's the one who...
Totally.
Yeah.
But he doesn't see it that way.
Not at all. He wants her brought before the whole community. To be put on trial, basically.
Wow. It's kind of scary how much power he had back then.
I know, right?
One wrong move, and Tamar's life is over.
It's a good thing she's got a plan.
Oh, yeah. She's got one more trick up her sleeve.
As she's being taken away, she sends a message to Judah.
What does she say?
She doesn't say anything. She sends him those items he gave her back in Timnah.
The core, the staff.
The whole shebang.
No way she kept all that.
She knew what she was doing.
She planned this whole thing.
It's brilliant, really.
Talk about a mic drop moment.
Judah gets those items, and he realizes he's been played.
Busted.
But more than that, he realizes he's wrong.
He can't deny it anymore.
In front of everybody, he says, she is more righteous than I.
Wow, what a moment.
I know, right?
He could have condemned her easily,
Totally.
but he owned up to his mistakes.
It's a powerful moment of self-reflection for him.
Absolutely.
And for Tamar, it's a huge victory.
She fought for what was right,
And she won.
even with everything stacked against her.
It's pretty inspiring when you think about it.
It really is.
So what happens to Tamar?
Well, she gives birth to twins,
Sons.
Perez and Zerah,
And their names are actually really important.
especially Perez.
What does it mean?
Breaking through.
Wow, kind of fitting, right?
Totally. He actually ends up being in the lineage that leads to King David.
Get out of here.
Seriously.
So this story that seems kind of separate from everything else
Like a weird little side story.
actually ties into the bigger picture in a huge way.
It's all connected, man.
Mind blown.
I know, right?
And that's Judah and Tamar.
A story of family drama, betrayal, and ultimately redemption.
It's got it all.
And it reminds us that even thousands of years ago, people were dealing with some pretty complex issues.
Power dynamics.
Social justice.
The meaning of family.
It's all there.
And it still resonates with us today.
That's the power of a good story, right?
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us for another deep dive.